Vatican rejects discovery doctrine. Opening, take off, when I said the opening prayers and all that, I don't think it did. I'm pretty sure I was rolling. So Vatican City. The Vatican on Thursday responded to indigenous demands and formally repudiated the doctrine of discovery and theories backed by 15th century papal bulls that legitimized the colonial area seizure of native lands and formed the basis of some property laws today. The Vatican statement said the papal bulls' decrees do not adequately reflect the equal dignity and rights of indigenous people and have never been considered expressions of the Catholic faith. Right, so the Catholic Church is starting to, go back on its decrees that has, put out on that they discovered America and that they, took it over and so on and so forth, and that they can basically have the right through Catholicism to conquer so-called Native Americans, Native South Americans, really, that's what they really were, and really to subjugate the Northern Kingdom. And now they're trying to roll back on that, even though they've held this doctrine, for years. And they always believe this stuff. It's only until recently that, America has actually stopped and dropped the whole Columbus Day thing. But for years, we've been speaking on that, about Columbus Day. Of course, we don't celebrate no Columbus Day because why would we advocate for and support a holiday celebrating a damn devil, who abused our people, okay? The statement from the Vatican's Development and Education Offices marked the historic recognition of the Vatican's own complicity in colonial era abuses committed by European powers. It was issued under history's first Latin American pontiff, who was hospitalized Thursday with a respiratory infection, exactly 1 year after Francis met at the Vatican with indigenous leaders from Canada who raised the issue. On Thursday, these indigenous leaders welcomed the statement as a good first step, though it did not address the rescinding of the bulls themselves, which are pretty much just decrees, and continue to take distance from themselves and continue to take distance from acknowledging actual Vatican culpability and abuses being involved in that stuff. The statement said the papal documents had been manipulated for political purposes by competing colonial powers to justify moral acts against indigenous peoples that were carried out at times without opposition from ecclesial authorities. That's right, because they participated in it. Priests owned slaves too. I have a book at home that was speaking on it, how the priests would have slaves and they would rape women too. All right, so the priests in the so-called holy class were, very complicit with, this whole thing. That's why we don't support, Christianity or Catholicism. We know that we are the real Christians, really. Because Christians just means Hamashiachim, which means anointed ones or chosen ones. And the chosen ones, the saints, the holy people, the Most High Yahweh, is so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and on a deeper level, Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans who really want to get into this truth. Not any old Negroes, Hispanics, or Native Americans. Because we have 2/3 in America who just don't want to get right. They'd rather do whatever the fuck they do all day. I don't even know. It said it was right to recognize these errors, acknowledge the terrible effects of colonial era assimilation policies on indigenous peoples, and ask for their forgiveness. The statement was a response to decades of indigenous demands, right? To rescind the papal bulls that provided Portuguese and Spanish kingdoms the religious backing to expand the territories in Africa and the Americas for the sake of spreading Christianity. Those decrees underpin the doctrine of discovery, a legal concept coined in 1823 U.S. Supreme Court decision that has come to be understood as meaning the ownership and sovereignty over land passed to Europeans because they quote-unquote discovered it. As we know, they didn't discover anything. and I do want to go ahead, and we can honestly just read Deuteronomy 28. We can honestly start from the top and just read on down. No need to make things more complicated than it actually is. We'll just start at 15, Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. But shall come to pass, thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. The field is everywhere in the world, the rest of the world, many times, in many different parables. The field has been synonymous with the world, right? And the city represents Babylon the Great. Really, all these cities, wherever you are, you're cursed. Our people living in Section 8 housing, living in project buildings, and a lot of it is really their own fault. Their own stupid monetary decisions. But that's also a curse as well, as we'll get into, because our people basically they don't have they're basically mad. They have demons on them. Like, what are you doing walking around with a pair of Jordans and you can barely afford to fucking eat? Or people got it so bad. Jake got it so bad. A lot of Jakes be using a fucking payment plan for a phone. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. A payment plan for a phone, like a phone is like $150. You mean to tell me you seriously don't have fucking $150 to fork over at any single time? Like that's ridiculous. I can't live like that, man. Alright. Cursed shall be that basket and thy store. Right? Basket and thy store, thy bank account. That's right. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, the fruits of thy sheep. Yeah, that's right, because you get sick. Our children get sick. You get things like sickle cell, hereditary diseases and shit like that. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hand to do, until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, meaning diseases, until he hath consumed thee from off the land, where thou goest to possess it. And that's why when things like Windows 19 goes down, our people are the ones to get it the most, because it's outcomes of the Lord's cursing that he's poured out on us. It's the image of, or you could say like the effects of the Lord's anger and the Lord's rage poured out against us. It's the manifestations of the Lord's fury, which is why our people get sick. They catch Windows 19, they catch all kinds of illness. And more likely than not, they die, because they go to these hospitals. Hospitals are mostly ran by so-called white people, and you can look at the data for yourself. Black people predominantly die in these hospitals from diseases. They have a higher chance of negative health outcomes. All right, and that comes from living in a country where we don't have rulership or power, and you get sick, you have to go to their doctors. Their doctors don't really care for you, and of course you'll gradually decline in health, and it'll kill you. Even with the medical symbol, it shows you this man is a damn devil. The staff of Asclepius. So like the staff of Asclepius, I remember hearing about this somewhere, right? Asclepius is a hero, god of medicine in ancient Greek religion and mythology. He's the son of Apollo, Crinus, and Arsinoe, right? We don't care about that. Health, recovery, recuperation, right? That's what it represents. But there's other stuff in here where basically like the staff of Asclepius, the more you use it, the more it hurts you. Asclepius staff hurts user. So let's see if we can find rod of Asclepius, okay? Also known as the staff of Asclepius, right? With which looks like the medical symbol that you see today, and they actually show you the medical symbol. I don't really think that it's the staff that serpent around the staff. I think it really goes back to this, associated with healing and medicine, right? Which shows you that America is Neo-Greco-Rome, because you can see that right there, right? They said before, the same image. You look around in, the cities, a lot of the architecture represents Greek and, Roman architecture, which a lot of their modern stuff, in all honesty, actually came from the Moors, when you look into the history. See here. Scythian cult, symbolizing rejuvenation theories. There's something I'm looking for. Yeah, of course, we're trying to make connections to the Bible, but it has nothing to do with the Bible. Well, I'm not really gonna look for it. It's the staff of Hermes, right? Goes to that as well. There are many theories going on that's related to. Yeah, I'm not gonna look into this. But I remember I saw something that it hurts you. The more you use it, the more the staff of Asclepius hurts you. But yeah, I'm not looking into all this right now. I don't have time. We don't have time for that. I actually want to teach today, like I always do. But I'm being facetious. Right. So. Verse 22, the Lord shall consume thee with the consumption, and with the fever, and with the inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and he shall pursue thee until thou perish. Right? Consumption, fever, inflammation. Now people get sick. People are sick, man. We eat like shit. We eat this destroyed food, and stuff like that. Eat this bad food, GMOs, and whatnot. So on and so forth. The Food Agricultural Organization has veterinary drugs which are mandatory for pretty much everything, even organic food. All right. Verse 31: And thy heaven is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that's under thee shall be iron. Right, cursed the grounds will be cursed. Thou shalt make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee till thou be destroyed. What's this? Let's see. Land and powder. Okay. When Israelites still dwelt in the land, right? We don't dwell in the land anymore, obviously, right? We've been scattered. Other nations have parted our land and have taken over our territory. Predominantly Amalekites, as well as Ishmaelites and Edomite Turks, as well have taken over our land. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all the fowls of the air, unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. The carcass 70 AD, the body that Israelites left out to rot and be eaten up by the fowls of the air, beasts of the earth. The word man is not represented in Hebrew. It should be more like nothing shall fray them away. Okay, so nothing's going to be there to drag your body off and drag the beast away, or push the beast away, basically. The Lord shall smite thee with the botch of Egypt, with emeralds, with the scab, with the itch, whereof thou canst be healed. Botch, inflammation, boils, leprosy, right? Ulcers. I'm pretty sure that's cancerous, right? Emeralds, tumors, cancer, scab, right? Scurvy, itching, scurf, right? It's funny, don't those so-called black women, they get those weaves and shit, they be scratching their fucking head, man. Alright? Because our women have been cursed with itch and disease as well. I've heard about something recently that apparently, like in Africa, not all of them are jakes, of course, but this probably happens to some jakes out there in Africa. They get something that's called a fistula, which is like when the woman gives birth, their vaginal, the opening between their vagina, like the rectum opens, and they basically can't control the urine or them using the bathroom, so they just fucking piss and shit on themselves, and they get pretty much excommunicated from society and they get pushed out. Yeah, that's a curse right there, man. You know, that's tough. And thou shalt grow up at noonday as a blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt only be oppressed this world evermore, and no man shall save thee. Right? We shall none save thee. So, you know, us being groping at noonday as a blind gropeth in darkness, our people, you know, we lived in darkness. You know, actually all of us were in darkness at one point. It wasn't until the late 60s when Abba Bivens came on the scene that the books were opened and knowledge returned to our people. Wisdom came back. But before then, we didn't know anything. We basically lived in perpetual fear, perpetual bondage, so on and so forth. Around the late 60s too, when Abba Bivens came on the scene, was actually when around that time convict leasing came to an end. So actually, the next lines of a prophecy, because convict leasing was pretty much the last legs of slavery. You know, but slavery didn't really end. Like what, 1863 or something? Slavery ended in the 60s when convict leasing ended. Cause what happened? What the fuck is that? Man, get off my back, bro. Come on, man, get off my back, please. Let's go over there, right? There you go. Let's get off my back, buddy. I was trying hard not to kill him. Hopefully they don't crawl on me or something. You know, I try hard not to kill bugs and stuff unless I have to. You know, but yeah, I just pushed him away with my water bottle just so he walks off. Hope he's not dead. Right, and no man shall save thee, right? So nothing here in this society, no man shall save us. You know, whenever there's been like the so-called, black leader, so-called black messiah, as they call him, black deliverer. The CIA has always infiltrated and made sure that, you know, that guy either gets put down or that they control him. And look at the Black Panther Party; they controlled whatever his name was. You know, pretty much everyone. They run in control. I think his name was J. Edgar Hoover, who ran the CIA or something, FBI, whatever during that time. But I think they call it the King Alfred Plan, which they called it was that but they would make like a rule that whenever there was like a black group that they would always infiltrate it and keep tabs on it. You know, which of course they've obviously infiltrated GMS and, you know, everywhere and stuff. I mean, obviously, you know, we just don't know who's who. I mean, but they're watching. They're watching. You know, they got spies and people around that, you know. That's why, like, if you ever go by like a camp or something, occasionally you'll see someone come by and I'll take photos. And it's happened to me. I've had people, take photos. I had people try to take photos, and I told them, like, fuck off. But, you know, being with other brothers, like, I've had people take photos. Like, Amalekites take photos, and random people take photos and videos and stuff. You know, who knows where they put that shit up, you know. And they give it to the police or something, and then the police, you know, keep tabs on us and whatever. I'm not too concerned, you know, if they're police. You know, they'll watch, you know, it's not really time for them to really, put me down as of yet. So, you know, I'll just be living, just be teaching, so on and so forth, until it's time for me to get the fuck out of here, you know. You can see your brothers start doing the 100-meter dash into the fucking woods, bro, you know. Thou shalt betroth a wife, another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, it shall not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and thou shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. And thou shalt be violently taken away from before thy face, and thou shalt not be returned to thee. And she shall be given unto thy enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. So this is what the priest, you know, and all those Edomites were doing when they were here. You know, they would take our stuff, take our livestock, our resources, and not give them back. They'll take it away from Gad, take away his land and his food and stuff, not give it back. Right, also with that ox, man, they slayed them. You know, they killed what do you call it? killed the bison. The so-called white man had a war against the bison, and he would kill them en masse to start out Gad, the nation of Gad. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. All right, so our sons and our daughters, sons will be taken to serve slavery, to be sold on the plantations and stuff. A lot of times, also Europeans, Edomites, they actually dragged away Gadites to Europe. There's a show on Netflix called The Borgias, and I believe they actually show that, how they dragged off Native Americans to Europe and stuff. The daughters obviously took to rape and whatever. There should be no might in thy hand. Fruit of thy land, and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. Okay, are we not always oppressed and crushed always? Even when black people try to get some restitution in the form of monetary expenses, aka reparations, you got people that come online and they show their horns and say, you guys don't deserve reparations, or you don't deserve money, and stuff like that. And this has been a conversation that's been going on for years, but now they're starting to bend and say, maybe we will give you reparations, but what good is that? And the nation's on its last legs. They shall seek to please the poor, and that's what this article is about. We shall seek to please the poor. That's what that scripture is going into. They're trying to come out here and say, hey buddy, we're sorry, man. You know what I mean? We didn't mean to, rape all you guys and murder you guys and fuck you guys up. My bad, bro. But you don't get to apologize for that one. All right? Because the scriptures is already written. Obadiah 1:18 has been written. Obadiah 1:18 will come to pass. All right? Because the Lord is not a man that he should lie. So the Lord is a man of war. Okay? The Lord is a man of war. Then who's the enemies? Right? So thou should be mad. Feel sight of thine eyes shall so see. Right? Make you go crazy, man. Make you furious too. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees, and in thy legs the sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee in the king which thou shalt set over thee into a nation which neither thou nor the kings have known, and there thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone. Because you're going to serve them already, now I'm going to put you in slavery and make you serve them. Moses is that king, which is also King Masha, King David. Alright, so that happened already. Let's read on a little bit here. Stone. Right, other gods, wood and stone, right? So we're serving primarily Christianity and Nation of Islam. Because believe it or not, there was actually a big Arab slave trade too, which people don't like to talk about. And yes, Arabs enslaved white people too, but people don't talk about that one either. There's actually a lot of history here, but people don't talk about that. Everyone tries to, Arabs try to say they didn't do shit, but no, Arabs enslaved black people, Arabs enslaved white people. Arabs were enslaving everybody, man. That shall become an astonishment, a bother, and a byword to all nations where the Lord shall lead thee. We still are a proverb and a byword. The N-word is an example of a byword. The fact they call us losers, even our own people call us bummites. They call us crazy, they call us losers, and this and that. And, they try to say we're all bums to go get a job, have a job. Alright, but you know how that shit is. Thou shalt carry much seed into the field, and shall gather the little in, for the locust shall consume it. Right? Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but thou shalt neither drink of the wine or the grapes. And one shall eat them right back in the land, will be cursed, and will be cursed. Thou shalt have all trees, all thy coast, but thou shalt not alone for the sake of the warrior, for thy always shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, and thou shalt not enjoy them. They shall go into captivity. I already spoke on that. And of course, going back to the wood and stone, right? Catholicism, they push that stuff on us. They force us to convert to Christianity. So that goes back to what this guy is, the Vatican's talking about right here. Saying that, hey, we're sorry, so-called. The stranger that is within thee shall get thee above thee very high, and thou shalt come very low. Right? Other nations have businesses in our neighborhoods. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. And that's what happened, man. We were the tail, and the other nations, so-called white men, predominantly, was the head. They start stuff, build businesses in our neighborhoods. We work there and stuff, and so on and so forth. When you want to make a business now, we're not in hardcore slavery anymore. We are still in subjection. Aka prisoners of war, right? Because look at how I can't remember his name, Rashim something, but there was a so-called black guy recently who got decapitated. He called his mom saying, "Hey, I'm being chased by people," and they found him in the woods decapitated. And it's more likely some white supremacists grabbed him up and murdered him. All right. So. Let's see. Frogs. Let's see if we can find what we're looking for here. So yes, Revelation 16, and I start at 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Alright, so the 3 unclean spirits are the 3 city-states in the world, right? You got Washington, D.C., which is the military center. If I think about it, like the Pentagon and shit like that. You got London. London's the financial center. A lot of big businesses and stuff go down there. And you got the Rothschilds down there. One of the heads, Jacob, he's out there. I don't know if he's in London, but he's in that area, whatever. Yeah, Vatican City. Vatican is the religious center of the 3 city-states. Which are the so-called, the Illuminati have set up. And the Vatican City is a religious center because they're basically used as the mental side of this thing. They hope no bugs crawled in me or something. They're basically used as the mental side of it. That's why always the Vatican, they'll meet with the darker nations and make them feel included. You'll see photos like Arab leaders, holding hands with the Pope and various people, like shaking his hand and kissing his finger and stuff. That's what the Vatican is. The Vatican is the religious center. We use religion as a tool to control the people and stuff. Right now, the mouth of the false prophet, Roman Catholic Church and all its derivatives. So that's what that is. Right. Yeah, we don't really need to get much more to this, but we can get one more thing. You can see if we can get this one here. Please, the poor. Okay. Job 20:10. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. Alright, so meaning like all the government handouts and stuff, these so-called liberal Edomites and stuff, which both sides of the politics are on the same side. Both of them are going to push for the central bank digital currency. None of them are going to stop it. They may act like they want to stop it and that they're for free market capitalism and democracy, but in reality they're for authoritarianism, fascism, so on and so forth. Both sides of the same coin. When civil wars and the race wars break out and the government's in the martial law, your conservatives aren't going to say shit. They're not. They're not going to say a damn thing. What is damn thing about zip? Oh, never mind. Let's wait. Just making sure my zipper's right. So I think we talked about enough there. Joe Biden's America is splitting at the seams, by Kate Andrews. This is written Friday, March 31st, 2023, 7 a.m. What are American values? Not so long ago, the answer to this question wouldn't have been controversial. Faith and freedom. But Americans aren't so sure about that anymore. Faith in the country, in community, and in religion is dwindling rapidly. A new survey out this week undertaken by a National Opinion Research Center and the Wall Street Journal found significant declines in the number of people reporting that patriotism, faith in starting a family were very important to them. Okay, so there's less people saying that faith, freedom, not freedom, so saying that patriotism and faith and starting a family are not really important, according to this study. People are saying that it's not really important, and that makes sense because like the economic factors, things are going down in the economy, things aren't as sweet, right? You know, inflation, things are ridiculously expensive. I mean, protein bars and protein stuff is like, you know, $3 now, you know, $4 other places you gotta pay as much as $5 for it, you know. So inflation is going through the roof, and shit just ain't good no more, man. In just 4 years, the number of people prioritizing patriotism has fallen from 61 points to 38, while community involvement, which actually rose from 47 to 62 between 1998, has tumbled to 27 PC. That's in these points. Religion has dropped from 48 to 39 in just 4 years, where the number of people who still highly prioritize starting a family fell from 43 to 30 PCs over the same short time frame. One cannot separate the collapse in historically American values from the endemic. It's no surprise the emotional and economic instability that Windows 19 ushered impacted people's future plans, including things like family planning. So yeah, average American is more so focused on survival. You know, this has been going on. I've been speaking on things like this for months now. You know, people don't have even $500 of emergency funds. There's a study that I saw, I think it said like 80-something% of Americans don't have $500 that they can just, you know, cash out right there. Partially it's the economic stuff, but partially it's people's own foolish decisions, man. I can't be too, you know, I don't feel bad for them at all. I actually don't give a shit about anyone, but you know, I care about brothers in the truth. I care about the Most High, things like that. But you know, I don't care for nobody, man. You know what I mean? I'm out here for numero uno, man. I'm here for myself, bro. I can't care for these fucking people. You know, I can't care for people that don't care for themselves. You know, 2/3 out here, they don't want to learn, man. They just they look by and say, yeah, that nigga crazy. Oh no, I can't talk to him. Oh, he's gonna get us in big trouble now. You know, they're scared of the overseer. You know, oh no. You know, that's how Jake is, man. You know, this scripture says Jake, a homeborn slave. Like, come on, man. Have a little bit of religious, you know, a little bit of zeal in you, man. Have a little rage, man. Where's your rage? Where's your, you know, where's your fury? Aren't you a little mad, man? You know, as long as this thing made community involvement impossible in many circumstances, in the U.S., the pandemic turned political in ways that it did not in countries like the UK. Yes, we vigorously debated over some of the harshest lockdown measures, the consequences which we are still discovering, but critical tools for fighting the virus, like vaccines, did not become politically weaponized here as they did in the States. It's also surprised that the country has been tearing itself apart over how to get life back to normal isn't in the mood for flag wagging. But as Americans turn away from faith, they might be embracing something else, freedom, especially economic freedom. As I said, there's a shift going on in this country where people are starting to be more focused on survival. People are on survival mode now. They're not worrying about the next man or community involvement, fun, and all that shit. They're trying to fucking survive. You know. According to several Americans are losing their faith in social institutions, they're putting greater value, emphasis on money. The proportion said is very important to them. Rose from 41 PC to 43 PC from between 2019 and 2023. The survey reflects broader issues that have a tight grip on the public's attention. Last month, Pew Research polling found that strengthening the economy remains the top of the Americans' priorities. Right? So, as you know, like as the 19 says, man, like a dog should stagger from his own vomit, right? Go out and for spirit and Mr. Ruffs, so on and so forth. They're not going to fix the economy, right? You know, the American economy is not going back to when it was good pre-pandemic levels. You know, it's not happening. You know, any economist that tell you that we're going to get things back to normal, you're a damn liar. You know, things are not going to get back to normal. They may say, oh, you know, inflation fell. This, you know, when you go to a store, it's just as high. You know, and even though you have that, and they say, oh, look on this data, man. You know, but the supply chain isn't fixed. So what the fuck does it matter? And what does it matter about the price? The supply chain isn't fixed. And you know, you go to, you know, a fucking supermarket. Some things are empty. You know, you're not finding certain things. Right? It's only gonna get worse, man. You know, it's only gonna get worse from here. Right? You know, it's as crazy as it might seem to some people. Let's say, you're crazy, man. You know, but you know, you're not wrong. You know, you spend enough time, you know, in this society and in this fucking nation, you'll get a little crazy too, man. You know, and I mean, spending time here, like actually looking around and looking at the news and stuff like that, you'll get off your rocker soon enough, buddy. You know. Note that the priority is not the economy in general, but strengthening it. While the narrative in Europe may be that the U.S. post-COVID recovery is going gangbusters, the rate of inflation down, economic growth up, that is not the experience of many Americans at home. Like I said, it's not. The inflation rate in Britain is awful. Still in double digits and actually rising up in February up to 10.4%. Man. The U.S. has not spared price hikes, which reached a 4-decade high of 9.1% last summer. The rate may have fallen to 6 percentage points now on the year now. A better trajectory than the UK's was painful for consumers regardless. Like the Brits, Americans feel poorer too. Because they're basically just taking away all your assets and taking away your money. Alright, so let's just go out here and teach them stuff. You know? Let's just keep teaching. We'll just go into this one. Isaiah 19 and 14. The Lord mingle a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. They cause Egypt to err in every work thereof. The drunken man stagger from his vomit. Alright, so Egypt is America. And make mistakes at every turn. Pretty much committing economic suicide for spending, etc. Yeah, they did this big time during the Windows 19 demic. You know, QE up the wazoo over and over and over again. And they wonder why inflation is so high. You know, banks just churning out, you know, money and all that stuff. So yeah, the country, they're not going to fix this. Really what the economy, what they should have done is just let things let a recession happen. Just let it happen and then try and pull it back. You know, but they tried to pull it up and they did all this stuff, rate hikes and increasing interest rates, trying to slow things down, and that's actually just, you know, made things worse. It's made things worse, you know. So now they're trying to lower down the interest rates, but they've already raised it so much. It's not gonna do much of anything. You know, things are just gonna still be bad. As they say, oh, we're fixing the economy and stuff like that. We had Silicon Valley Bank go bellies up, which, you know, I believe they did that shit on purpose, because why would a bank not hedge their bets, hedge their assets, or invest only in, you know, fucking tech, so that, you know, a very volatile, you know, field and stuff where, you know, people getting laid off left and right, and, you know, that's what happened to Silicon Valley Bank. I can't explain the other ones. So. I know Credit Suisse Bank fell. I think that's some lesson in Europe somewhere or something. And there was other bank collapses in New York, not in New York, in America. Right. Right, neither should there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail brush may do. Alright, so pretty much there's going to be less jobs in this country. Alright, there's going to be less and less jobs over time as, artificial intelligence takes over. Right, so at the top though, the bird of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall remove thy presence in the heart, Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Alright, so the bird of Egypt, Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. Cloud, as you know, is a so-called UFO. Alright, it's not talking about an actual cloud. Alright, shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall remove thy presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Alright, so Egypt refers to America, and if you go into certain places like in New York, they actually have an obelisk. You go to like Washington D.C., they have another obelisk. An obelisk, they go back to like Egypt and stuff, Alexandria, Egypt, I believe. But I think they maybe had that before then too, because Egyptians were known in history to worship the male phallus, literally worship wee-wees. That's a heathen thing. Also the Egyptians against Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Alright, so Egyptians against Egyptians is American against American. Alright, so you're gonna have the left versus the right. You're gonna have rich versus poor. Right, you're gonna have black versus white. So it's gonna go down, man. Really, it's gonna be every race for themselves. Like scripture says, everyone's gonna go back to their own lands and stuff like that. Go pretty much be among their own people. China, the Chinese gonna be with the Chinese, and America, the blacks gonna be with the blacks, or maybe some Hispanics maybe up in there too. The Hispanics gonna go with the Hispanics and stuff like that. And stuff like that, because like Psalm 2 says, let's burst their bands asunder, burst the bands asunder. Band is something that holds something together. The thing that holds so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American together is their bloodline. So if they can convince us that we're not the same bloodline, that we're all different, they can effectively separate us and make us feel separated. That's why you have like a so-called someone who thinks they're a Gadite. I don't think every Gadite is a Gadite. I think a lot of people that are Gad are actually Edomites, because I believe with God believes that the seed line is to the mother. So I think that you have a lot of imposter Native Americans running around out here. And I know that for a fact, because you got people that look like the fucking Christian Bale, and saying that they're Native Americanish. Which is not true. Christian Bale might be a chick. I'm just being facetious. So yeah. And the idols of Egypt represents the people, because an idol also means a person, right? You can make a person your idol. Like they say, I can't think of it, but look in Japan, they call them like idol girls and stuff. So the girls are idols, the people are idols. So yes, so we've already seen, people tearing each other apart, fighting each other. I really cannot believe I didn't precept this. If I did not precept this, I'm going to be kind of mad, because I should have precepted Isaiah 19:2 and something. I did it, and that was foolish of me. So let's just maybe get something second Esdras, and we'll call it for a day today. I pretty much had my goal, and I came up with this lesson, camp lesson on the fly, and I was really busy yesterday and Thursday as well. So I just kind of put something together, and I don't think it's that bad. A little bit it's not. You guys get the points that I'm trying to make. It's really the same stuff over and over and over again. Passage of the sea. Yeah, we'll just start here. The second 16 to 17, woe is me, who should deliver me in those days. Because the prophet Esdras knows that he would be there at this time. You know, he would be in America because of the incarnation. So, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars and power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. And what shall I do when these people shall come? Okay? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation, anguish, and scourges for amendment. Right? It needs to make a change. For all these things shall not take from the wickedness, nor is the minds for the scourges. It's the people aren't going to stop. Okay? Let's see here. Where am I looking for? I'm looking for something in particular here. I cannot find what I'm looking for. It's something like the princes shall scatter in the course of their own power. And I know it's in the Apocrypha. I know for a fact it is in the Apocrypha, but I do not know exactly where. Second, just 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Meaning that they're not going to be listening to the United States government anymore. There will be renegades. You're going to have people becoming outlaws. You know, you're standing up against the United States government. You know, anti-corporation, anti-government, anti-government groups and stuff. You know, it's gonna be like that, bro. And people think I'm crazy for now, but when it starts to go down, then people are gonna be like, that nigga was right, man. That fucking nigger knew what he was talking about. That nigger wasn't bullshit. We call that, we called him a stupid nigger and all that stuff, but he's actually not as dumb as we thought. But yeah, that's pretty much the point. You guys get the point. America's splitting apart at the seams. Yeah, it's gonna go down. It's gonna go. It's gonna get better here, bro. All right, we're gonna say Pandia Hakadam. Say Kawaii Washing Hashem. Wahab Kakadash. This is Wahab Kakadash. And double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, who do rule and teach well. And yeah, I'm done. Shalom.